the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!
Welcome everybody to another episode of CorbinCenter. Season 4 is in the books and we're going to get ready for the playoffs. And there's something about this season that we really need to touch base on. We thought with the addition of Hank Douglas as the new head coach, we figured that having Super Bowl experience would lead this team into the next step, that past that conference championship. And they have put themselves in that position. They ended 14-2. That is the best record in the AFC. That is the best record that they've put up. Fun fact a little bit though, even though they were putting up 11-5 records under Stephen Gregg, he went to Dallas for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys actually had a hell of a year. So the Cowboys actually did really well, and Gregg got another Coach of the Year award. So I just want to kind of specify with that, he was a good coach. We appreciate what he did here in Cedar Rapids, but I think that this mindset seemed to fit. And if you were looking at how this team played, absolutely, let's hit on a couple big factors with this team. This is a contract year for Welch Manor, and also the future, the leadership of this team, and we're 3/4 of the way out of it. And here's some things that I need to really point out. I know I'm hard on Welch Manor. I'm always hard on the quarterbacks. I understand this, but we have to kind of branch into what was going on. Is early in this season, boy, did this team look like an elite team. Amazing how this team played. You know the rules and regulations and the goals that are there, and this ended up being a milestone year in an interesting way. But Welch Manor was putting up yardage. Welch Manor was hitting, they were putting up touchdowns in high-score games. A lot of times in the first half, they would have 21, 28 points. Amazing numbers, considering the fact that the goal is to get 30 points per game. Now, with that said, the defense was amazing. Zanzibar McBurst has been awesome this year, having multiple interception games. Same with Frank Fulcher. Backfield was a crucial part because not only were they forcing turnovers, but they would start with excellent field position. So it didn't take long to go up the field, and a big part of it was Welch Manor was great in the red zone. So once he got up there, he had all these targets that he could hit. Obviously, look at Walkenholtz was amazing. He was awesome this year. Craig Nelson was having a banner year and actually still placed in the top 5 in voting for best wide receivers, even though halfway through the season he was cut short with injuries. And Craig Nelson was the first one that really got hit. Craig Nelson goes down, and speaking of injuries, it ended up leading Welch Manor. He got hurt in a game that ended up being the biggest game in the history, quite frankly, in my opinion, in the history of Cedar Rapids Fusion. It was the first time they accomplished the flawless 5. They had 300 yards passing. This is all on Cochini. All Cochini. He comes in, Ponze Cochini comes in and passes for 300 yards. Rams Blood runs for 100 yards. I believe it was Walkenholtz ends up getting a 100-yard game. They score over 30, and they keep the opponent to under 10 points. That's the first time, 4 years of this team, it is the first time that this team has accomplished the flawless 5. And that is what we're looking for when we play these seasons, is which elite team is going to stand out. And from there on out, I thought we were good. And then it was like somebody took the one Jenga block out, and we're right back to the second half collapse that we've seen in so much of this. And I'm not going to blame Welch Manor on this, except for that one game that he got taken out because he fumbled, and then he got hit twice for interceptions. But they lost right tackle DeFalco Madhorse. And for whatever God-forsaken reason, it was like the team forgot how to play. Defense forgot how to scoop up turnovers. The hurrying on Welch Manor was ridiculous. You couldn't even scramble. The rest of the entire offensive line seemed to fall apart. Guys who are Pro Bowlers are giving up multiple sacks. Alan Wynn as left tackle, who ends up winning offensive lineman of the year, ends up giving up multiple games with multiple sacks, and it affected everything on this team. Guys couldn't get open. Tell me why. Tell me exactly why a right tackle, as good as he is, when one guy leaves this team, is he truly the locker room leader to the point where when he's gone, everyone can't figure out their ass from a hole in the ground, or what is going on? It was some of the weirdest gameplay I've ever seen. Some of the most Kahufel dropping a 4th down pass for one. Welchmanner getting immediately pushed by defenders into players. It was watching like a high school B squad team play football at times. And none was more apparent in that game than with Miami, where again 31-24. I mean, just ridiculous. Couldn't even stop the backfield, and that's going to leave some questions. And I gotta get out of this funk, because for a while there, the games were not fun to watch. It was a struggle to watch these last couple of games. And knowing that you lose Nelson, knowing that you lose DeFalco Madhorse, knowing that you're losing guys for the entire season, and knowing that the rest of these games are going to suffer because of it is hard. And knowing that you're not going to get them back for the playoffs is even harder. But they somehow did manage. I mean, they have the weapons, and let's face it, they do. So they have the weapons to go 14-2. And I really hope that these offensive weapons, including one big one, Orwelius Lavina, they trade for him. Get him, wins Rookie of the Year. I mean, we're going to talk about the win. I mean, like, wow. What an addition to an already... You lose Craig Nelson, who is one of the fastest. Now you have him. So when you get Craig Nelson back next year, you're gonna have him also as an offensive weapon. This trade put him in your team. I mean, like, they traded draft picks for him, but this was smart. This is the kind of pick you need. They also traded a couple draft picks to get this right tackle to at least fill in, but clearly he's a rental. But you also have an interesting... We'll talk about the postseason when we get there, because we'll talk about what they're gonna have to do. But let's talk about, like, some of the awards here. Like, again, it was very clear in everything that Welchmanner still, even the struggles, I don't blame him for this. I blame the offensive line falling apart. I believe the lack of leadership. Again, it was like one piece of a puzzle was missing and no one could figure it out. It was just monkeys humping a football out there is what's going on. But Rockwell Welchmanner, he gets over 2,500 yards, 28 touchdowns. He wins MVP, Offensive Player, Best QB. It is clear, it is obvious. I mean, even on the games that were struggles, he did the drive. He did lead this team. He had a hell of a time trying to do it. Conan Ramsblood, 885 yards. I mean, he had big shoes to fill after Alvarado Garza. He had 7 TDs only, which seems low, but he did win Best Offense. He won Rookie of the Year and Best Running Back, which is great. And then the pickup, like we said, Orwelius Lavina, 929 yards, 9 touchdowns. He wins Best Wide Receiver, and Alan Wynn, Best Offensive Line. Boy, did he not play oh my God, he didn't even play close to that last game. But if we look at our Pro Bowl selections, this is the first year that the entire offensive line did not make it, and obviously an injury was going to keep Madhorse out of it. Welchmanner, he ends up getting it. Unfortunately, Conan Ramsblood does not make a Pro Bowl his rookie year. That would have been great. But fullback Yandu McHumble makes it. Wide receiver Orvelius Lavina, what a rookie season that is. Left tackle Alan Wynn. Right guard, who filled in quite nicely throughout the year. He was an early addition. Tony Castellani, he picked up really well. Calvin Cameron, he makes it again this year. Jazz Trombo Jr., who was a restricted free agent that they signed, he ends up getting his first Pro Bowl selection. And then Zanzibar McBurst, Deuce Jones, and Mo Fear. All 3 of those cornerbacks end up making it, Mo being a rookie cornerback. And then one thing we got to point out, no matter what, this is Deuce Jones's last year. He's made the Pro Bowl all 4 years. He's been a solid anchor for this team, but he's going to be agent eligible next year. So now we go into the playoffs. We're 14-2. We have home field advantage, the best record in the AFC. This should get us past the conference championship, right? This has to get us past the conference championship. There's no doubt. You have this quarterback. You have a elite quarterback. I would like to say, probably obviously the MVP. You have a coach that's been there before twice. They gotta make it, right? I feel like this is what's gonna happen, and we're gonna have to talk about this more in the next episode of Corbin Center. But there is by far a lot riding on this postseason because there are a lot of contracts up to re-sign. They hold 2 first-round draft picks, but what are the gaps that they're going to need to fill? And I think it's all going to depend on what happens to end the season. Stay tuned for Corbin Center as we talk about the end of Season 4, and hopefully we're talking about a playoff championship team.